Hi guys, today's video is probably going to be a little bit all over the place, but I think that the main focus of the video is going to end up being this palette here. This is the monochromance palette from Hindash. I bought this palette because I had seen so many really good reviews on his first palette, which was more of a neutral monochromatic palette, and even though it looked beautiful, I didn't think it was something that I would use a lot. But when I saw this palette and I saw how colorful and kind of fun this was, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to try this brand because I've heard so many good things about it. I will admit though, I have watched a couple of videos already on this collection because I was so curious and I didn't know, basically every thumbnail had been like, I don't know about this. And that made me want to go, I don't know about this either. Let me find out. So I clicked on their videos and they seem to be a little bit iffy on the formula, and I have already done one look. So I think what I want to do in the beginning of the video is I want to show you the look that I have done with this palette without telling you really how I feel, and you can make up your mind on how you feel like the shadows perform on me while I'm using this palette. So just see how the shadows go on the eye, see how you feel. Maybe you can see in my facial expressions like how I really feel about this palette, but I'm gonna do another look with this on camera after, and we can kind of talk through my feelings on this palette. One thing I will say about this though is I heard from other people that this palette, you shouldn't swatch it because it can get hard pan very easily, and it's a very unique formula. So I don't have any swatches to show you, but I will link Lauren May Beauty's video down below. She did some beautiful swatches, and afterwards her palette looked kind of messed up. So I just don't want to do that. And I also want to recommend to you guys to not swatch the palette if you do end up getting this, because it's going to be a little bit messy. And I think that the oils from your fingers don't really work very well with this formula. I could be wrong on that, but I would just say keep your fingers out of it just to be safe. But I will say I like the look that came out of this palette, and it's not that I had a bad time using it, but I definitely have some thoughts, and I'm not sure if this palette is necessarily for me, but I'm gonna give it another go in today's video, like I said in the beginning, and you will see for yourself. I will explain to you why I feel the way that I feel, and we can kind of just, I don't know, talk through together. I also do have some other items that I've picked up here and there, some that I got sent in PR, some that I've tried before and show you already, but I want to just play with some more things. So I think that's just where we're going to start before we do another look with that palette. So one of the things that I really want to try is another one of the blushes from Kaleidos. And I keep looking at this color and I'm like, I'm a little bit scared because it's very bright, but it's also such a beautiful color that this might end up being a little bit of a clown look, but I really want to try this today. I also got a package from Game Beauty with their new highlighters. These are all like duochrome colorful highlighters, or I don't know if they're duochrome, but they're definitely like iridescent colored highlighters. So I'm really excited to be playing with one of these. I thought maybe we could also use one of them on my eyes together with the palette, since it is an all matte palette. I'm not personally into all matte looks, so that's probably what we're gonna go ahead and do with that. And I also picked up the eyeliner from Hindash, which I've tried already, like you saw in the video, and I really like it so far, but I do want to just give it another chance before I give my thoughts on it. Another very interesting thing that I want to try out. So when I was shopping for my Natasha Denona eyeshadow primer and I was on Look Fantastic, I saw these two. So you guys know I don't wear lashes a whole lot, but I saw these lashes. They're from a brand called Lola Lashes, and I just thought that they looked beautiful. And then I also saw this product, and this is kind of what made me want to buy the lashes, because this is a adhesive, let's see, what does it say? Flick and stick adhesive eyeliner clear. And the interesting thing about this liner is I do have another liner like this that I've used maybe once and I didn't really like it. This is from Velour Lashes, and this is like a black liner. So this is more of a, how would I explain this applicator? It's one of those, I mean, you can see for yourself. I don't really know exactly what these are called, but these are a different kind of tip, whereas this is basically a felt tip liner, or a brush tip liner I should say. And I think that this is going to work very well, and it also has like a little pump in the cap, basically like any eyeliner does, and it has lash glue in it. I have put it on my hand before and it's very, very sticky, so I have high hopes that maybe this is going to work very nicely. So we're gonna just have some fun with these. We're gonna test out these products. We're gonna see what's good, what isn't good, what works and what doesn't, and I will give you my thoughts as we go. So I think I'm going to start with the blush because I am just excited. So I don't know the name of this because, like I said in my Kaleidos video where I tried this collection, I can link that up there if you want to check it out. These don't have any names on the packaging because the packaging is like lace embroidered. Is that the right word? I don't know, but you see what I mean. They don't have any names on it because the names were on the outer packaging and I've thrown that away. So basically you can see the color. I mean, there's only one color like this on the website, so that's all I got for you. So we're gonna try this out. We're gonna see just how pigmented this is, if I'm gonna look crazy or if it's actually gonna look good. I'm gonna find, like, let's see, what kind of brush do I want to use with this? Probably the kind of brush that I always like to use with my blushes. So I'm gonna take this one. This is just a round fluffy brush. Like, those are my favorite kind of brushes to use for a blush. So I'm just gonna dip in. It picks up quite a bit. I'm actually gonna tap this off. I usually don't tap off my brush with blushes because I like a very blush heavy look, but actually that's not as scary as I thought it was gonna be. That looks really nice. I'm gonna build it up quite a bit, just like right here, because I always like this to be the most pigmented part of my blush, and then I'm kind of fade it down on towards the apples of my cheek. I do like most of my blush to be sort of on the back end of my face because I find that to be the most flattering on my face personally, but that's just up to you and you got to figure out what you think looks the best on your face structure. But I think that is actually quite a beautiful color, and hopefully there's going to be a highlighter that's going to look nice with this. I think something layered over this that's sort of like yellowy base might look quite nice here. So far I really like this, and I have a really good time with these blushes from Kaleidos. I've tried the other colors and they're just stunning, you know, and I think that the packaging as well makes me want to reach for them because they are unique and they feel special in my collection, whereas some of my other blushes in my collection, because they have like such plain packaging, and even though they might be a beautiful formula, they just don't feel special because they're just kind of boring to look at. But something like this, I find myself reaching for a lot because it's just beautiful. So let's see, which highlighter am I going to use? I'm thinking I want to maybe use this one. Let's see what this one is. This is in the shade Pyro. I will overlay some swatches of all of these highlighters so that you can see what they look like, because I haven't tried any of them. I haven't swatched any of them. We're just gonna have a first impression here and kind of see how I feel. So like I said, this was in the shade Pyro, and this is a sort of reddish iridescent shade, and I think that's gonna look really, really nice. So they do feel a little bit hard pressed, so I'm gonna go in with something like, probably something like this. So this is a very large eyeshadow brush from What's Up Beauty. This is a goat hair brush, so it is going to pick up the highlighter a little bit better than something that's synthetic. So we're just gonna go in. Okay, so I do really need to dig in here, and it's not the most pigmented right away, but it does have a really nice kind of pink shift to it. It's definitely not as in your face as I kind of hoped for it to be, but it can be built up and it looks really, really nice. See, the more I put on, the more you can see that sort of pink shift in it. And I think that looks really nice with the blush as well. And I think that the tones I want to use in the Hindash palette is going to be some more of the neutral shades, because like you saw in the first look, I've already used like the blues and the purples, and I kind of want to just test out more of the shades in the palette. So I would say so far I like this highlighter, but I don't love it. It's not my absolute favorite when it comes to these sort of iridescent highlighters. I definitely prefer my Bitter Lace Beauty ones, or even just eyeshadows from Terra Moons. Like, their iridescent ones are beautiful as highlighters, and also the Kaleidos multichrome highlighters are out of this world. So far I would say this formula isn't my absolute favorite, but like I said, I don't think it's bad by any means, and I'm definitely going to try out the other colors just to see if they are the same. But I feel like it's a little bit hard pressed, and it's a little bit tough to just get the amount of product on my face that I want in a reasonable amount of time. Like, I'm someone who doesn't want to spend forever building on things, and you will see that with the Hindash palette as well. So we're gonna go ahead and use that. I'm gonna prime with my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base as per usual. I do have a little bit of staining on my eyes, as you can see here, which is from a palette that I used yesterday, which I'm really excited to show you guys. It's not a palette that's been shown yet, actually, and I was lucky enough to get it sent in PR quite early, and so far I've been really enjoying it, and I think that it's a palette that you guys are probably going to be quite interested in as well, as opposed to this Hindash palette, which I literally have not had a single person ask me to review. I was just so curious myself that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick this up. I'm gonna see what this is all about. And maybe you care, maybe you don't, but I care. That's honestly all that matters. So something else that I actually saw Hindash comment on Angelica's video, I can link her video with the collection down below, is that he was saying that this formula works best with natural hair brushes. And I know a lot of you don't use those. I'm going to use my Rephr brushes today because they are my favorites. And I do agree that this formula is definitely going to work better with more of a kind of scratchy and rough brush, which natural hair brushes tend to just pick up shadows a little bit easier because of the texture of the hairs. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's definitely a thing that natural hair brushes just pick up powder a lot better than synthetic brushes do. I'm going to start with the upper portion of this pan here, which is called Match and Made. So I'm going to take the lightest of the sort of mustardy shades here. And as you can see, I'm going really, really heavy into the pan. And there is absolutely no kick up at all. So these are very hard pressed, and that is why using a natural hair brush is going to pick it up a little bit easier because of how hard pressed it is into the pan. I'm not going to tap off my brush at all. I'm just going to go straight in and put this into my crease as my transition shade. And here's the thing about these eyeshadows that I have found. They are pigmented, given that you get enough product onto your brush, but it does take a little bit of time, especially with the more colorful shades, to get the pigmentation that maybe you want. But it is an extremely easy formula to work with, and I think that if you're someone who is new to colorful makeup, or even if you're just new to makeup in general, and you want something that's sort of foolproof, but you don't mind taking a little bit extra time to build up a shadow to be, the intensity that maybe you want, then I think that this is probably a good formula for you. Now, personally for me, I found that especially with the colorful shades, this one is actually going on, I feel like a little bit smoother and more pigmented than some of the other shades did, because they took a very long time to build up to get to the intensity that I wanted them to. And I also didn't feel like they layered the best on the lid. Again, it just took so many dips into the pan to get them to be nice and opaque and pigmented. But the thing about this formula, like I said, is that it is very foolproof. You're never going to experience any kind of patchiness. It's all going to end up looking very, very smooth on the eyes, as you can see. I mean, this is just laying down so beautifully, so evenly, and it looks really, really nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm not going to wing this out a ton, but I am going to just flick it out ever so slightly here. And it's blending into my skin tone very nicely. I'm not sure how this color and how a lot of these lighter shades would look on someone with a darker skin tone. That is not something that I can tell you, but I do think that they are pigmented enough that you could build them up enough that it would show on a lot of different skin tones. So I don't know if you can see this, but I feel like the color is looking different on both eyes. Like I feel like this eye has kind of oxidated a little bit, whereas this eye, now that I'm putting this onto my eye, it kind of looks a little bit more mustardy, whereas this is just sort of turned into more of a brown. We're gonna see if this happens on this eye as well, but that's very interesting. And I'm not sure if it's just because of the eyeshadow primer that I'm using that it's oxidizing a bit, because I can see it happening like on the inner portion of my lid here as well. I don't know why it does that. That's kind of strange. I'm gonna go in underneath my eye and I'm gonna use the shade. I'm basically gonna use both of these two shades. I'm gonna start with the lightest of the shades in this pan. I did use this one as a blush in my first look and I actually really liked how it looked. So this is the shade called Heart. And I'm just gonna go ahead and smudge this underneath my eye, and then I'm gonna deepen it up with the darker of the shades, and then we're gonna deepen up the outer corner with the dark pan in the first shade that I used in my crease. Just going in with the darker shade here, and I'm just gonna press that up against my lower lash line. So I think what I've realized with this palette is that if you're someone who likes very bam in your face pigment and very dramatic makeup, I don't think that this palette is necessarily for you. This is for someone who likes more of a soft everyday kind of look, but still likes to be colorful and wants to have something that's not going to be intimidating or something that is very fuzzy to work with. I think this is probably going to be quite a good option for you, but I think for myself, I feel like I'm just lacking that little extra oomph, you know? Like, I don't feel like these are giving me everything that I wanted, and I also feel like the promotional pictures on his website, I feel like it makes the darkest shades in the palette look darker than they are, and I don't feel like the darker shades are as dark as they are maybe advertised. And you can also see now how this shade is turned into exactly the same as this shade, in that it definitely oxidizes into sort of a different color. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I do think it looks nice, and I do think it's a nice color, but I feel like it looks way more just like a mustardy brown rather than a true mustard. Maybe that's just me, but that's just sort of how I feel. So we're gonna go ahead and deepen this up. I'm gonna take the darkest shade in the palette here, and we're just gonna use that to deepen up the outer corner as well as the crease. I'm just going to take my time and build this up to be as dark as it can be. And again, you can see just how not patchy these shadows are. Like, they're looking very, very, very smooth on the eyes, and they're not going to enhance any kind of texture or anything like that. I mean, they are performing very nicely. It's just, like I said, taking a little bit of time to just get it to be nice and dark here. And I do wish that there was maybe one split pan that had a darker shade than this, but I do think he had, a black in his first palette, so I get that he didn't want to like do repeat shades if he already has a darker shade in there. But I do wish that maybe there was like a darker brown or something, because this is basically as dark and dramatic as you are going to get this palette without using any of the colorful shades in it, which also don't really go that dark. But like, you can't say that this looked bad. So that's the thing about this palette. Like, I think it's a good formula. I'm just not sure if it's for me yet. So with that being said, I am going to use another one of these highlighters on my eyes because I want to have shimmer on my eye. Like, that is just what I prefer. So I'm going to use this one. This is the shade called Geo. So this is a, how would I explain this? A yellowy gold. I really dug in there with my finger, and you can see it gets a really nice swatch when you do that. It's just that with the brush, it's a little bit hard to pick up. So I'm going to use a little bit of glitter primer just on my lid here. That was probably too much. Just going to wipe it off on my hand a little bit. I don't want to have too much. And I'm going to take one of my Rephr brushes. This is the 21 brush, and it's a very flat sort of concealer type brush. I'm like really digging in here to try to get enough product onto my brush. It's almost like a putty type formula, but it's not. And I feel like it's almost getting hard pan on me already, and I've barely used it. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like on the eyes here. I mean, that does look really, really nice, and I feel like it's gonna make for a beautiful, long-lasting eyeshadow. I'm just gonna put this all over my lid here. I do think this performed actually better on the eyes than I feel like it did on the face, because I could really dig into the pan with a very dense kind of brush, and I find that with my highlighting brushes, it's just a little bit hard to be able to pick up as much as you can with an eyeshadow brush. So I think this looks really, really nice actually. And I feel like I said before, this is the kind of formula that if you use it on the eyes, I think it's going to wear very well, because it's pretty smooth, and it doesn't accentuate any kind of texture. It just lays very nicely on the lid while still being nice and metallic. I'm just taking a little bit more of that dark matte and just layering it over the shimmer. Next up, I do want to do some eyeliner, and I think I want to do a bit of like a cat eye where I do like the little triangle in the inner corner. I'm still not very good at that, but I feel like this eyeliner is going to be really good for it. So I'm just going to speed through this because I can't do eyeliner and talk at the same time.
I'm trying to stay focused, but somehow all I can think of is when you split. I gotta find the motive, play forward, watch every sequence bit by bit, 'cause this is my own invest.
So you probably were not able to see anything that I just did because I needed to have my mirror in my face. But here's where we're at. So I did sort of this is what my friend Nikki Raven would call a whale tail, because it looks a little bit sort of disconnected and weird, but when my eyes are open, like this is a good way to do wings for hooded eyes, but you are going to see sort of a disconnect in the outer corner here, because if you try to connect it, it's going to go all over your lid and just fill in everything because it just looks weird otherwise. This is just something that I'm kind of toying around with and trying for myself to see if I like it or not, but I think it's a good way to do more of a subtle wing for hooded eyes and not my giant wings that I normally do. So I think I like this. I'm excited to try out the lashes. I'm gonna take these out. So the lash band on these feel pretty stiff, I suppose, which I honestly don't really mind at. I'm just gonna loosen it up a little bit here. Don't take any of these tips as good advice because I don't know what I'm doing with lashes yet, but this is just something that I've found with especially thicker band lashes, is that it helps to loosen them up a bit just so that they mold to your eye a bit better. I'm definitely gonna have to trim these. I'm probably gonna cut off like 2 pieces or something like that because lashes are always way too big for me, and I do prefer lashes that are more focused on the outer portion of the eye. Okay, I think that's gonna be quite a nice length. Now, normally when I do lashes, I will use lash glue on my lashes as well as on my eye. So I'm not sure how well that is going to go. And I think I need to work kind of fast with this. So I'm gonna just line where I want my lashes to be. Obviously, like I said, don't do what I do because I do things very strangely when it comes to lashes. And I also don't do mascara before I do my lashes because I like to do that afterwards, which I know is wrong, but I also don't care. I don't feel like I'm getting a ton of glue out of this actually, which is a little bit concerning. Like it's definitely not coating my lash band as much as I would probably like here. And I'm also getting a ton of black on the liner, which isn't really a big deal because I'm not gonna wear lashes without liner, but I'm gonna take the lashes and just put them straight on top of where I put down the glue. I don't think I need to wait for this to dry at all, so we'll just see what happens. See if this is sticky at all. So this lash application is awful as per usual because I'm never able to get them on where it is that I want them to be, and I do feel like it's sticking quite nicely, and I also feel like my eyes are watering and is making the eyeliner run a little bit, so the struggle is real. I am not having a good lash day at all, but it's okay. I'm gonna try to finesse this a little bit, just go in with a little bit more liner. I will say that the adhesiveness in this liner is definitely strong enough that you get a good enough sort of grip on your lashes, but now it's almost like the pen has sort of sealed itself up with a layer of glue on the outside, and the glue won't really come out anymore. So I'm not sure how easy it's gonna be to like clean this, but I do think that if you kind of just run it on the back of your hand a little bit afterwards, I do feel like there is more glue coming out, but I just don't know if this is like the right idea for a lash glue. I feel like it's just easier to use regular lash glue if I'm being completely honest. So I'm gonna go ahead and just finish off with the rest of my face, and I'll come right back and I can sum up my thoughts on these products. Okay, so this is basically how I finished off. I didn't do anything other than just finesse my lashes a bit, and I think that they look better now, especially with some mascara. I know there's a little bit of lifting just like on the inner corner here, but thankfully I'm not going anywhere today, so if my lashes fly off, it's fine. But let's talk about all of the products that I tried today. So let's start with the blush from Kaleidos. I think that this blush is absolutely beautiful, and as you can see, it's not as intense as it looks in the pan at all, and I wasn't exactly careful with it, which I'm never careful with my blushes. So if this is the result that you get with a blush that looks very scary, I would say that that is a very approachable scary blush, and I really like the color of it. I think it looks beautiful, and I think it's a blush that I'm going to be using a lot. The highlighters from Game Beauty, I think they're nice. I think I need to use them a little bit more. I do wish that they weren't so hard pressed because it is kind of hard to find the right brush to be able to pick them up nicely and to get them like on your face. I do feel like it's easier, like I said, to use them as eyeshadows because you can really dig in there with a small brush and it's easier to get more product on your eyes that way. And also with a glitter primer, I mean, that looks really nice. That looks like a beautiful sort of golden shimmer. And I'm really here for that. I think that looks beautiful. And I think it paired very nicely with the formulas from the Hindash palette as well, given that they are sort of that soft, smooth, buttery matte formula. I feel like having a shimmer like this to go with that kind of formula, it looks really, really nice. The eyeliner from Hindash, I really like. I've been playing with this a couple of times now, and I think it's a beautiful eyeliner. I think it's very easy to work with. It dries on very fast. It's nice and precise. It is a brush tip, which is my absolute favorite. I think that for the inner corner hair, maybe it bleeds a little bit, but that could also just be my eyes. My eyes do tend to get a little bit watery in the inner corner, so it's not looking super sharp. And I also found that layering this eyeliner over that sort of gold shadow, it almost like it wasn't super opaque, but it could get built up. But again, it could be because maybe my eyes were a little bit watery, just like in the front portion here. But I do think that this is a really nice liner. I will keep you posted on it and see like how long it lasts and stuff, because some eyeliners dry out very quickly. I don't think this one will, but I also think that the packaging on it is stunning. I mean, it's very luxurious. It feels really nice in the hands, and it's just a really nice eyeliner. So I'm very happy I picked that one up. As for the palette, like I said when I was trying it, I just don't know if this is my kind of formula. Like, it's totally fine. It's very easy to use. If you like this color story, if you like softer looks, if you like something that maybe takes a little bit more time to build up, where you don't get that bam in your face pigmentation right away, and it's a very foolproof formula. If that is something that sounds like something you would like, I think that you would love this palette. I do think it's a nice formula. I just don't see myself reaching for this over something like my Blend Bunny palette. Like, listen, I cannot put this down. Like, this is my holy grail eyeshadow palette right now, and I love pairing this with whatever it is that I feel like using on the day shimmer wise, because I just think it's beautiful and I never have any problems with it. It's super pigmented. It blends like a dream. It's just everything that I want in a matte eyeshadow. And so if I'm going to be reaching for mattes when I'm not reviewing something and I'm not filming, this is probably not going to be it. I'll be completely honest. But like I said, I do think there's a time and place for this, and I just don't think that this is my thing. But that's okay. I don't have to love everything, and I know that there are people who are going to absolutely love it. The lashes are beautiful. I really like them. I like that they're not like swallowing my eyes, but you can still see that I'm wearing lashes, and I really like the shape of them. I like that they're a little bit spiky and a little bit fluffy, and I think that they complement my eye shape very nicely. These are in the style Diamond, and it says Diamond Strip on them. These are premium synthetic silk lashes from Lola Lashes. Like I said, I will link all of the products that I've talked about and used in this video down below. So yeah, that's basically gonna be my thoughts. As for the glue liner, I'm not sure how I feel about this yet. I'm gonna have to keep using it. I do think it's very easy to use, but I just feel like for myself, I need to be able to put on more. Like, I felt like I wasn't able to put on as much glue as I would like to. And I also felt like the tip of it was just getting a little bit stuffed up with the glue, and I'm putting it over the liner, and it was almost like the liner sort of seeped into the pen, and it was creating a bit of a shield between the liner and the glue itself. I don't know. I'm gonna have to keep trying it. I don't love it so far, but I do think that if you're someone who wants a product like this for days where you don't want to use eyeshadow per se, and you're someone who likes to only wear lashes, I think that this might be a good option, because it is clear and it's very easy to use. And if you just want to put on some lashes without like a ton of eyeshadow and a ton of other things, I think it would be a better product, because you're not going to get like black liner smudged all over it and stuff like that. And I think it might hold up a little bit better, but not sure how I'm going to feel about it over time. Probably not going to love it. I wouldn't recommend it upon first use. But I think again, I think there are people who might love a product like this, but I'm just not sure if that's me either. But again, that is okay. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you tried any of these products and how you feel about them. Is this something that you're interested in? Have you tried a liner like this, and how did it work for you? I'm very curious to know. And also, have you tried the highlighters from Game Beauty? Let me know as well, and see if you have the same opinion as me, because I love hearing what you guys think about products that I maybe have a strong opinion on, because sometimes we disagree, and it's fun for me to hear why maybe something works for you and it doesn't work for me. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you want to see some other first impression videos, I do of course have a playlist. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.